It's called radio.
The James Bond franchise has captivated audiences for decades, all thanks to the iconic hero who brings high-stakes action sequences, sophistication, and charm. But it's the notorious villains that truly bring the franchise to life, a fantastic counterbalance to James Bond's charming wit, bravery, and cleverness. The main highlight that makes any James Bond film so unforgettable and iconic is the clever plans devised by various villains of the James Bond series. It's time the light shines on them. Today, we explore the top 10 most iconic villains of James Bond. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Consul Bowser died 20 years ago, James, in an avalanche alongside his father.
Ernst Blofeld, multiple Bond films. Starting off strong, we have the popular villain who has appeared numerous times in the James Bond franchise. Ernst Blofeld. Ernst Blofeld is a ruthless criminal with a vision to dominate the world. He's been the arch-nemesis of James Bond and the mastermind behind the sinister organization Spectre, which stands for Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, and Extortion. In this organization, he's known as Number 1. Blofeld is like a puppet master who pulls the strings of many other criminals prevalent in different James Bond franchises. The character has been played by many actors, but Donald Pleasance made him a legendary villain. From the scar to the suit and the white cat that sits on his lap, they have all contributed to making him so memorable. In the first two films, From Russia with Love and Thunderball, Ernst's face was kept secret. Only his lower body was visible. His character was kept in suspense until the next three movies. 1967, You Only Live Twice, 1969's On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and Diamonds Are Forever, released in 1971, where his character was played by actor Charles Gray, and it was in these movies that Ernst comes face to face with James Bond as the primary antagonist. In the new reboot movies, Spectre, released in 2015, and No Time to Die, released in 2021, Christopher Waltz portrayed Blofeld. Blofeld is a brilliant strategist with a talent for exploiting weaknesses and bending situations to his will. A desire for power and control drives him, and he'll do anything to achieve his goals. The relationship between James Bond and Blofeld has an undertone of mutual respect, but is mostly intense rivalry. Blofeld sees Bond as a worthy opponent and is determined to outsmart and defeat him at every chance he gets. Alec Goldfinger, 1964. Alec Goldfinger is considered an iconic villain from the 1964 James Bond film Goldfinger. Alec is a wealthy and shrewd businessman with a fondness for gold. He's known as the biggest gold collector globally, but with so much gold comes the illegal work of smuggling. As the owner of Alec Enterprises, his primary aim is to destroy the supply chain of US gold and increase the demand for his own, which would in turn make him the richest man on Earth. A dream he's determined to fulfill by hook or by crook. When James Bond begins investigating Goldfinger, he discovers that Alec plans to invade the US's fortified gold reserve, Fort Knox, by using a nuclear device whose radiation will contaminate the gold reserves. Goldfinger's plan, codenamed Operation Grand Slam, is notable for its intricacy. German actor Gerd Freuba masterfully portrayed Alec Goldfinger, delivering a performance that is still considered one of the most memorable among the Bond villains. The movie follows a cat-and-mouse game between Goldfinger and Bond, who's determined to crush his plans. Their exchanges are tense, and Bond tries numerous ways to unravel the mystery behind Goldfinger's scheme. The film also brought one of the most iconic James Bond scenes to life, the laser beam scene. Here, Bond is tied up on a table and threatened with a laser beam, a moment that highlights Goldfinger's cunning and ruthless nature. Alec Goldfinger was a challenging and complex villain, adding depth to the James Bond franchise and cementing his place as one of its most iconic antagonists. Alec Travelan, GoldenEye, 1995. Alec Travelan is the villain of the 1995 James Bond film GoldenEye, directed by Martin Campbell. Travelan was also known as Agent 006. His background is deeply connected to Bond's, as they were both MI6 agents and friends. However, during a 1986 mission, Alec was presumed dead when he disappeared, leaving Bond with survivor's guilt. Sean Bean portrayed Alec Travelan, bringing depth and nuance to the character. In the movie, Alec, known as Janus, is the leader of a criminal organization and the mastermind behind the theft of the GoldenEye, a Soviet satellite-based electromagnetic pulse weapon. Trevelyan's ultimate goal is to use GoldenEye to disrupt the global economy and seize control of the financial markets. The dynamic between Trevelyan and Bond is fascinating, as it highlights two polar opposites and explores the blurred lines between loyalty, duty, and betrayal. A master of psychological warfare and manipulation, as well as a former MI6 expert in weaponry and hand-to-hand combat, Trevelyan is able to predict Bond's movements based on their countless shared missions. Although Trevelyan is an evil, egotistical, and psychopathic antagonist, his sophisticated lifestyle is reflected in his impeccable sense of style. With his charisma and intelligence, Sean Bean's portrayal of Alec Travelan has solidified him as one of the most memorable Bond villains in recent history. A strong opponent for James Bond undoubtedly contributes to the success of the movie. Leif, Casino Royale, 2006. Leif is the primary antagonist in the 2006 James Bond movie, Casino Royale. The film introduces Leif, a sharp Albanian criminal, working for a mysterious group called Quantum. Quantum is a financial empire that sponsors terrorist groups by buying company stocks with money from its clients, then manipulating the stock market through orchestrated terrorist activities. Leif gained immense profits from the September 11 terror attacks. A proficient mathematician and chess player, he earned the nickname Leif, which means the number in French. Mads Mikkelsen, a remarkable Danish actor, played the role of Leif. Leif faces financial ruin after mismanaging and losing substantial funds belonging to his clients. Desperate to recover the money and save his life, Leif organizes a high-stakes poker match at the Casino Royale in Montenegro. His plan is to win the match and use the prize money to repay his clients and rebuild his crumbling financial empire. MI6 is aware of Leif's involvement in financing terrorist activities, but lacks evidence to prosecute him. To thwart his plans, they send James Bond to participate in the poker match, aiming to prevent him from resurrecting his financial empire. Leif's character is driven by greed and desperation. Mads Mikkelsen's portrayal of the villain is widely praised, as he perfectly captures the intelligence, sophistication, and menace of the character, while facing off against Bond. Unlike many of Bond's previous adversaries, Leif stands out as a villain who never directly kills anyone in the film. His primary weapon is his intellect. Overall, Leif is a superb villain, and one of the best to appear in a James Bond movie. Quantum, Leif's organization, is later revealed to be a subsidiary of Spectre, owned by another powerful villain, a connection explored in subsequent films.
0.003 grams, which leads us to deduce it was fired from a 4.2 millimeter
Francisco Scaramanga, The Man with the Golden Gun, 1974. Francisco Scaramanga is the main nemesis in the 1974 Bond movie, The Man with the Golden Gun, directed by Guy Hamilton. Scaramanga is a ruthless professional assassin known for his exceptional marksmanship, which allows him to charge $1 million per kill. He's also known for his signature weapon, a special gun made entirely of gold. Francisco is a self-made killer, honing his craft in the streets of Cuba and later in the French Foreign Legion. His reputation as an efficient assassin has earned him the moniker The Man with the Golden Gun. Christopher Lee, a renowned English actor with a distinctive voice, portrayed Francisco Scaramanga. In the movie, Francisco is at the peak of his criminal career. He's amassed great wealth from his assassinations, which he uses to finance his research and develop technologies rivaling those made by MI6's Q branch. His most advanced invention is the Golden Gun, and a car that transforms into an aircraft, equipped with a solar-powered laser cannon. Francisco Scaramanga is undoubtedly a Bond villain like no other. While most adversaries in the Bond franchise aim for world domination, Scaramanga is simply an expert hitman who lives for the thrill of killing. He's fearless and extremely confident in his marksmanship, considering James Bond to be the only person equal to his skill. Scaramanga is also somewhat paranoid, especially in the presence of people like Haifat or Andrea Anders, and doesn't hesitate to kill anyone who crosses him or betrays his trust. The final confrontation between Scaramanga and James Bond is genuinely thrilling. Francisco even ranks at number 5 on the UGO's top 11 classy assassins list. Roger Moore, who portrayed James Bond, mentioned in interviews that he considered Francisco Scaramanga the best Bond villain. Dr. Julius No, Dr. No, 1962. Dr. Julius No is the main antagonist in the 1962 James Bond film Dr. No. Joseph Wiseman, a Canadian-American actor, portrayed Dr. No, making him a formidable and intimidating foe for Bond. Dr. No is an important figure in the infamous Spectre organization, which profits from the conflict between the United States and the USSR. His work for Spectre included radiation experiments that resulted in the loss of his hands. He replaced them with powerful steel prosthetics capable of crushing metal objects. Dr. No worked on various Spectre projects globally before being assigned to Crab Key, a Jamaican island purchased by his employers. His mission was to disrupt the U.S. space program, Project Mercury, at Cape Canaveral, using radioactive beams funded by Soviet money. When a British official got too close to uncovering the truth, Dr. No eliminated him. This act drew the attention of MI6, which sent James Bond, Agent 007, to investigate. Despite limited screen time, Dr. Julius Snow left a lasting impression in Sean Connery's first James Bond film. Joseph Wiseman brought the character to life with flair, portraying him as a sophisticated, charming, and sadistic villain. These qualities make Dr. No a classic Bond adversary. Jaws, The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977, and Moonraker, 1979. Despite being a supporting character in the James Bond franchise, Jaws has left a profound impact as a villain, earning him a spot among Bond's most memorable adversaries. Jaws is an iconic character in the series, appearing as a challenging villain in The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977, and Moonraker, 1979, both directed by Lewis Gilbert. Richard Kiel portrayed Jaws as a larger-than-life presence. Alongside Ernst Blofeld and Mr. White, Jaws is one of the few Bond adversaries to appear in more than one film. Jaws is a villain with unstoppable determination, a gigantic physique, and superhuman strength, and his most notable feature, razor-sharp stainless steel teeth capable of chewing through almost anything. Although he has a brutal background, he undergoes a surprising transformation after falling in love with Dolly, and eventually helps Bond save humanity from Hugo Drax's nefarious plans. Jaws is incredibly resilient, surviving catastrophic incidents like falling from great heights or car crashes without a scratch. He first appears as a henchman working for Karl Stromberg, a wealthy shipping magnate intent on building an underwater society. Later, Jaws works for Hugo Drax, another villain with grand schemes. Though not a primary antagonist, Jaws' presence as a supporting character has left a deep impact on audiences compared to some of the main villains in the series.
Radio.
Raul Silva, Skyfall, 2012. Raul Silva is the main antagonist in the 2012 James Bond film Skyfall, directed by Sam Mendes. Silva was once an MI6 agent in Hong Kong, under the supervision of M. However, when the Chinese captured him, M deserted him, leaving him to suffer for years. Seeking revenge against M's betrayal, Silva returns 15 years later and engineers a series of terrorist attacks, aimed at destroying M's reputation, and ultimately killing her. He even employs two henchmen, Severine and Patrice, to assist in his revenge plot. Javier Bardem, a talented Spanish actor, portrayed the character of Raul Silva. Despite the chaotic atmosphere he creates, Silva maintains a calm composure. Even when facing adversity, he never appears rushed by the situation. When Bond kills his men or puts Silva at gunpoint, Silva still manages to mock his opponent. He's an intelligent and calculating character who takes great care in perfecting each step of his plan. At the same time, he's quick to improvise and think on his feet when the situation demands it. Silva's preferred arsenal includes various explosive devices, the Glock 13, Steer M9A1, and other firearms, as well as unconventional weapons such as a helicopter gunship, a subway train, and dueling pistols. The 2015 film Spectre reveals that Raul Silva, along with other infamous Bond villains like Le Chiffre and Dominic Green, secretly worked for the powerful criminal organization Spectre, led by Bond's archenemy, Ernst Blofeld. Silva's relentless pursuit of revenge makes him an unforgettable villain who will not rest until his vengeance is complete. Rosa Kleb, From Russia with Love, 1963. Rosa Kleb is an iconic and notorious female villain in the 1963 James Bond film From Russia with Love. She's a Soviet intelligence officer and a member of SMERSH, the secret intelligence agency. After being discharged from SMERSH, Rosa Kleb uses Kronstein's plans to acquire the Lecter device and eliminate Bond. When her initial attempts to kill Bond fail, Kleb disguises herself as a maid to infiltrate Bond's suite. However, Bond catches her and a fight ensues. Kleb tries to use her infamous poison-tipped shoe blade, but Bond blocks the attack. Ultimately, Tatiana Romanova shoots and kills Kleb, ending her wicked plot. The role of Rosa Kleb was played by the renowned Austrian-born actress and singer, Lotte Lenya. Lotte's performance earned her a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Rosa Kleb is a secondary character who's highly intelligent, which helps her rise through the ranks of the Soviet intelligence agency. She's a master of manipulation and deception, using these skills to achieve her goals. Kleb is a formidable fighter and assassin, making her a significant challenge for Bond. Rosa Kleb is not the only female villain in the James Bond franchise. Other notable examples include Xenia Onatopp from GoldenEye and Elektra King from The World Is Not Enough. However, Kleb's character remains classic and memorable in the Bond series. She's intelligent and resourceful, always thinking several steps ahead of her opponents. Much like a chess player, Rosa is a chameleon, seamlessly blending into her surroundings by adopting different identities, making her a powerful adversary for Bond. Oddjob, Goldfinger, 1964. Oddjob is another supporting antagonist, whose popularity earns him a spot on this list. He made his appearance in the 1964 movie Goldfinger. Oddjob was Alec Goldfinger's personal bodyguard. You could also call him Goldfinger's right-hand man. He might be mute, but he's undoubtedly a worthy opponent for James Bond. Oddjob is famous for his steel-rimmed hat, which he uses as a deadly frisbee, making him an unforgettable henchman in the James Bond franchise. Alongside Jaws and Red Grant, Oddjob's character was brought to life on the big screen by the late wrestler Harold Sakata. In the movie, Oddjob carries out all the tasks assigned by Alec Goldfinger. Oddjob kills Jill Masterson by covering her in gold paint after she betrays Goldfinger. His steel hat is a deadly weapon, as viewers witness when he decapitates a marble statue. He also possesses incredible strength, as demonstrated when he crushes a golf ball with his bare hands. Oddjob is fiercely loyal to Goldfinger, a fact proven when Operation Grand Slam goes awry, and Goldfinger betrays him by locking him, Kish, and Bond in the gold vault with an atomic bond. Despite the betrayal, Oddjob continues to pursue Goldfinger's plan, even at the risk of his own life, showing his dedication to his job and employer, making him a tough villain to defeat. Marvelous verdict. The classic villains of James Bond have left an unforgettable mark on the franchise. What began as spy thrillers has evolved into cinematic masterpieces, making them one of a kind. Larger-than-life personas, creative plans, and unforgettable confrontations with the MI6 agent have become an integral part of the DNA of the James Bond series, and continue to inspire and influence the next generation of filmmakers and audiences alike. If you liked our content, don't forget to like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.